Hey everybody, this is Ashton Shepherd, and I am so proud to announce that I'm starting my own cooking show through the Foodie Network online. It's called Cookin Country, and today I'm going to start out with showing y'all how to cook tomato gravy and biscuits. Have a little bit of story behind the recipe because it's really neat how I learned how to cook tomato gravy. Cool little story. And it's coming in just a bit, and I hope y'all enjoy the show. I know I'm going to enjoy it. Right now we are fixing to get the oven turned on to 400. Some ovens vary. Yours may need 450. Just kind of watch. Or even 420 would be a little safer. 450 is a little bit much for biscuits. But I put mine on, let's see, 400. And always make sure there's not anything in there because sometimes it is. But I'm going to get my oven going on 400 and I'm going to start out with putting some flour. Of course, buttermilk and lard, your preference on all of those things. And I start out with roughly, I would say 3 cups. This is going to have to be something you kind of watch me do because I don't necessarily measure every little thing. You'll see what I'm talking about in just a second. And right now we've got 3 cups of flour. Of course, self-rising. I have made the mistake before of getting the all-purpose. It doesn't work. I tried to make the biscuits and it was terrible. But some of the old folks probably know how to put the baking soda and different stuff, and we'll talk about all that later. I'll find out how to do it and tell y'all. But for now, we've got 3 cups of flour, self-rising, and I have never done it this way before. For right now, I am, for the purpose of showing y'all, I usually just put my buttermilk and I stir as I go. But for the moment, I'm going to show y'all in measuring terms so we can kind of see maybe how much buttermilk I actually use because I normally eyeball it. But I'm also going to show you inside the bowl as we go what the texture is going to be like. So let's see. Go with a cup for now because I know that's not going to be too much. You can also do the option of warming your buttermilk if you want to do that. I don't always do that. Sometimes it helps in stirring the biscuits or mixing them. That's just a little tip, but that's kind of to each his own. All right, we got a cup. Not going to near about be enough. So we'll go back. Let's see here. Go a little over a cup. So we're at 2 cups right now with the 3 cups of flour. Okay. Now I'm going to start stirring. Now, something that I do like to do for softening. This helps a lot. I didn't do it, and it causes trouble when you're actually trying to get your biscuits going. I take about, this is again, I don't measure a lot, but that right there is what I call like a heaping tablespoon or like a palmful in my hand, which I've got small hands. So that's, again, you just sort of have to eyeball it. Get that into here. And I like to take and, let's see, maybe a little bit more. Grease always helps. That's what makes stuff taste good in the South. Let's see. I take it to the microwave. And just do probably 25 seconds, something like that. And once it gets heated, I'll pour it over in here and then we'll start to stir. Of course, got to get my rag, got to keep my hands wiped. We've got that going. We haven't got to the preheat point yet. And it's real important. That's another good kitchen tip. I did not realize when I first started cooking how important it is to make sure your oven's preheated because you're able to keep it on a 20 minutes for your biscuits or 30 minutes. It makes a big difference because if you stick it in there before the oven's ready, it's going to take longer. You're going to have to do more watching and that kind of thing. Alright, that is softened, but it's not melted. You can even melt it further than that there, but this will work for right now. It makes it a little bit easier to stir. Better not break this bowl. This is my mother-in-law's. She would whoop me. Let's see. Alright, you can kind of see the texture. Now what I like to do, I know some of y'all probably heard of drop biscuits. That's kind of what I go for in the action of what I'm doing right now. It's almost like well, look at me. I am a messy Bessie. You're going to see me make messes in here today. My mom always tells me, she says, how can you get so much stuff everywhere in the kitchen? I'm like, I don't know. It's not because I don't cook. I'm just a messy person. I don't know what you'd call it. Maybe just a messy Bessie is the right word. But there we go. All right, now that is looking really good. That's how you want your biscuits to look. Now, I would say, let's see, I think we're at 2 cups, right at 2 cups of buttermilk. I would say this could take a little bit more buttermilk, but like I say, just pay attention to, there's your consistency. All right, we stirred good. All right. Now, here's the part where it gets a little bit tricky. This is going to take adding flour as you go around, and we'll start making up the biscuits in just a minute. We're going to start back with where we are here on our biscuits, which is right now, they are almost what you would call in drop biscuit form that I had mentioned. And what I like to do, I take a little piece of a napkin. Now, some people, they use their fingers. That's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. But I like to take and get a little bit of grease like this, lard, vegetable lard. And I take my cookie sheet here. And you can also use a black iron skillet or whatever you want to use. You don't have to use a cookie sheet, but that's just what I prefer because it makes a little bit more biscuits for the family that likes a lot of biscuits. Sometimes I even have to make one of these and a black iron skillet. It's just according to how many people's over what we're doing at the time. But I like to do it like this because, I don't know, it just seems like it spreads a little more evenly instead of doing it with my fingers, and it keeps my fingers from getting the grease all over them at the moment. Not that they're not just going to get dirty anyway, because we're supposed to get the hands in the biscuits. That's going to be fun. All right, we got that all ready to go. We're still preheating over here. We're not quite there yet. And here is where this is kind of tricky, because you're in drop biscuit form, which means you could drop them on the pan. You can eat it just like that. Not nothing wrong with that either, if you don't want to go all this trouble. But, let's see here. I'm going to go with saying we were at 3 cups of flour to start with. Here we are at roughly a cup. What I like to do is I take and I'll kind of spread my flour around these edges, almost like you're giving room for it to have, it would be so sticky if you didn't have that flour on it. So I'll take and kind of spread it around. Let's see. And then start doing this. And I'll almost get my biscuits to one side of the bowl. Y'all, this is seriously seeing me in action here. I am definitely sort of eyeballing this here. But we do have a cup, so you do know where I'm at. Let's see. See how that is? I don't know if y'all can see it or not here. But that's kind of to where you can touch it without your hands getting sticky. That's what you're going for. So I've started on that little side, well then I'll roll them around this way. I'll say, okay, well let's take another little handful out of here. Kind of roll around. It just keeps it from sticking. And that allows you to be able to make them with your hands without it being a mess. I also like to do this here. And this doesn't have nothing to do with measuring. But I'll put that over there just to stick my hands over in. Because when you do this right here, and get your hands, your flour on them, it keeps that sticky off of you so bad. Because they can get messy. Alright, let's see here. It's looking better. Getting in that kind of, what do you call it, like a pizza dough almost looking format here. Alright, but it's still, you can still see that sticky in there. Still see that. So, now, you have to be careful because, I'm getting flour on myself, but you have to be careful because you can put too much flour and it can dry it out. You don't want to have dry biscuits. But, let's see here. Alright. We are, I think, at a safe point to set this over here on my napkin. And maybe do a little more with my hands here. And this is where the fun part comes in. Now, I don't know if I've ever tried this either, but I like to eat raw biscuit dough. I know it's crazy. Some people think, hey, it's so weird. But I like it. Mama used to make dumplings, and she would feed us the biscuit dough. But see, I can feel that sticky in there, which is not going to hurt nothing. Your hands is going to get the sticky on. We know that. You're making biscuits. But you can also feel, just texture-wise, if you're doing the right thing, that the biscuits, if it feels real squishy to you, but yet you've still got that flour on it, you're going to have a really tasty biscuit. So here we go. Get them like this. Now here we go with the flour. I go back into this flour and back into it. Because it's just, there it goes sticking, but that's okay. That's just what it does. And that's it. I don't do a whole lot of rolling. And I put them down there and I pat them a little bit. And I'm going to get a little more flour. Like I say, you just have to kind of feel it yourself on whether you want to put a little more flour, because it's not going to hurt anything. That's the thing with cooking. You've got to try different things, experiment different things. See, that sticky's getting on there, and it's hard for me to roll. If I go back to my, getting that, there we go. That makes it easier, and go back again. Now, my mother-in-law, on the other hand, makes biscuits the old-timey way. She has a Tupperware bowl, that she goes back and forth, back and forth. And it's so interesting to me. She sifts that flour, and she can sit there, no measuring, no nothing. The flour's already in a bulk of flour. I can't make them like that myself. It just don't turn out right. There's our oven. That means we're about ready, which is perfect. All right, here we go. Get a little more on our hands. We get that sticky on there. Oh, I can tell these are going to be good. I'm telling y'all can tell I like to eat. That's why I like to cook. And a lot of times, I won't be cooked for 3 or 4 days. That's terrible to say. Because I've been busy doing something else. And when I get hungry, that's what my husband will joke with me. He'll say, I know why we got something to eat today. It ain't because of me and the youngins. It's because Ashton's hungry. But I can't help it. Gotta have some good food. Especially being from the South. Alright, here we go. We're going to finish up making these biscuits. We're going to stick them in the oven. And we'll show y'all how they turn out in just a second. Alright. We are... Y'all can see let me show y'all. This is what happens. I did not measure perfect here. I'm missing a biscuit, as you can see here. I did make a baby biscuit at the end for my little baby Raven girl. And James has to have my boy James. He's 7. He loves biscuits. Loves tomato gravy biscuits. That's his favorite meal. But I made a little baby biscuit over there on the end. I'm going to try some of my dough. If you never try it, you really should. It's really, really good. My hands are all dirty here, but we got to go to the oven with these. And I say, this is an electric stove. So, like I said, gas is different, whatever. But I usually cook my biscuits about 20 minutes. And then I have to go to a broil on this oven in particular. Gas ovens aren't exactly the same way, but right now I'm going to wash my hands, and then we're going to get to making some tomato gravy. But right now we are going to get started with bacon grease. This is how I keep mine. Every time I cook bacon, I dump the grease in my little jar here. And this here now, that's the real stuff. This is sure enough put up tomatoes. Now Miss Rachel put these up. Miss Rachel's Roland's mama. Roland is my husband. And so she's my mother-in-law. And she also taught me how to can tomatoes. We're probably going to do that a little in the future too on this show. Show y'all how to can stuff. But it doesn't get any better than this. You can't buy this out of the store. So if you don't have these, you do have to just buy stewed tomatoes. You can buy them shipped up fine. You can buy them in hunks. It's just whatever you want to do. But that's what you have to do if you don't have a quart of tomatoes. Here's where we put bacon grease. You can also use sausage grease. So if you want to do that, you can do that too. And if you can also use fresh bacon grease if you just fry bacon. But today we're just doing it this way. Now, this here, these are big. If you can see these spoons here. These are big tablespoons. I mean, they're probably even maybe a little more than a tablespoon. But to get that covered in grease, you can see how it melts down. Stir it around in there. The more grease you use, of course, obviously, it's going to be greasier. And it's also going to make it to where you have to put more flour. And that could potentially make your gravy a little bit thicker. But we're going to get to that in just a second, and I'll show y'all. Let's see, that right there, I would say, that's a little over a tablespoon there. So, let's melt that down. Turn it on up, maybe get melted. Because you want the grease to get hot. Matter of fact, I think we'll be okay putting that last smidgen I put. I'm going to put that back. I don't think we need that. And again, cooking's eyeballing stuff. You have to kind of practice at it and whatnot. But I'm being descriptive to y'all because I like Tomo to be descriptive to me when I'm cooking. It helps me do a better job. And helps me feel like I know what I'm doing. Alright, let's see. Need I'll just use this right now. We'll use a little rag and show y'all what we're looking at here. Alright, you're looking at, see that, how that's over in the side there? That's what you're looking for. You want it to swirl around, and you can see it kind of built up. You really don't need any more grease than that. That's about right, according to how greasy you want it. Of course, we're going to leave it on high. The purpose of this is to brown your flour in just a second. Don't want to catch anything on fire. I've been known to do that in the kitchen too. I probably shouldn't tell y'all that, but that's because I get distracted. But not today, because I am totally focused on showing y'all how to do this here. Alright, we have got it hot. It is smoking. So this is your point where you bring in the flour. And you put you see about a tablespoon or a heaping tablespoon. Okay? So, now me personally, I like to use a wooden spoon, which is over here, to stir with. You've got to even it out in your pan. I don't know if y'all can see. Can y'all see that there? I'm not sure, but I'll try to show it to y'all. Either way, you want it to be even. You want your grease and your flour to kind of be working out together. Now this is going to make a little bit thicker gravy. When you see your grease kind of thickening up, and that's how much flour determines how thin or thick your gravy's going to be. All right, you can even actually you're going to feel like your pan's burning. You're going to say, man, I can smell it burning. Well, it's supposed to. You want this gravy to get brown. That's kind of your purpose of your gravy taste. But you don't want it to burn. So you can't leave this. You can't do like I did that day when I almost caught the kitchen on fire. You have to stay with this. Okay, and you got to keep stirring. Gravy is something you must stir, stir, stir. All right, I am going to turn it down just a little bit because we got to get over here to the tomatoes. Got to get them opened up. Squeaky drawer here. All right, for right now, I do not see my usual, but you can do that right there. You can use a knife. You can use whatever you want to open it. And here we go. You got your big brown on there, and then you right there. Now, of course, that's where your cooling down comes in. You don't have to be worried about, like I said, it almost seems like, well, something's going to burn. But no, you won't have to worry about that. Okay. Now, that's so pretty. It's going to taste good, too. Now, what we're missing right now at this point, everything's ready to go. Now, I want to turn it back up. Now, here I'm turning it to about 3 to keep it kind of on a simmer. Like I said, this is my little boy James's favorite food. What's funny is he doesn't like tomatoes, but he likes this. He says, I love tomato gravy. And he does. They can eat 5 or 6 biscuits with this. Checking on our biscuits, speaking of that. Looking good in there. I don't know if I'm seeing there or not, but they're looking good. All right. I'm going to get a little bit of salt and pepper. My little shakers. Thank you. Little jars. Let's see. A little pepper. Now me, I'm a pepper person. I like pepper. But, of course, children aren't as big a pepper fans. They, think it's too hot, so I have to be careful with that sometimes. Salt. Now, at this point, this is, salt to taste, dashing of salt, or whatever you want to call it. I'll probably turn it back up because I don't really see it bubbling anymore. You want to keep the bubbling going on in your tomato gravy here. But, very, very, very yummy. You can see, very pretty color, very pretty, whatever. It's just exactly like I like mine. You see that? It's got a little drip to it, but it's still got some thickness too. And again, like I said, that all is determined by how much flour or how little flour you put. But in just a minute, when the biscuits get done, we will be able to show y'all how it's going to all turn out, and I'll show y'all how to butter your biscuits and do all that kind of stuff. All right now we are at the point of broiling on high the top of the biscuits. This is something you must watch. It is not something you can walk away from because it's like cheese toast. Before you know it, the top of them will be burnt, and you'll be mad at yourself because you went to all that trouble to make biscuits, and now the top's burnt. So, keep a check. Yep. That's plenty brown. Right there. I'm going to grab the biscuits out of here. Now, do not be alarmed if the top of your biscuits are a little bit cracked like this. Sometimes mine are more cracked than others. Might have been because I used a little too much flour. It just happens sometimes. Now, I used a napkin earlier doing the grease, but I do this full-fledged hands. My hands are clean. Always make sure of that. That's number 1 rule in the kitchen. But, let's see here. And the gravy is doing good back there. You can put it on low, and it's not going to hurt a thing. All it's going to do is get better. Just sit there and simmer, and as you can see, lots of butter. I don't even think we need to talk about measurements right here. It's so much butter. But, yeah, that's what you do. And see, it kind of evens out that if you've got your cracks in your biscuit, they may not have turned out that way. Like I said, sometimes mine don't have so many cracks, but sometimes they do. They still taste good. That's number 1. Let's see here. Good stuff. Yum-o. And you can tell I got huge biscuits, little biscuits. I am not perfect on this. I just go for it here. And sometimes what I aim for, I do sometimes get my biscuits a little crunchy. And I am still working on that. I have made biscuits many times in my life. And Roland's mama that I talked about earlier, my husband's mom, my mother-in-law, she's got the most cakey biscuits. And I just can't quite figure out her little trick, but I'm working on it. But the butter is a big trick. You got to do this, especially if you broiled it, because you've seen them cracks in the top. Well, see, now it's all evening out. You don't see them so much. There's a baby biscuit, a little crunchy. All right, and that's it right there. We got some really, 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 really pretty biscuits. Now you can do this too. I have done this, but this is a little bit. This is an overindulgence in the butter. You can flip them over and put butter on the bottom. If you feel like, if you look at this one, they're good and hot and see them, you can, you know, do that there and kind of soften up that bottom if you want to. Or you can put a little something over them, and that'll soften them if you don't want them as crunchy. But I kind of like a little crunch on my biscuit. But here we are with the biscuits, and in just a second I'm going to take a little bit up and I'm going to try it. Let y'all know how it tastes. Alright, we have gotten to the point that I am ready to taste my yummy biscuit. And my tomato gravy. I'm going to get, I think I like this biscuit. That's something else I forgot to mention to y'all earlier on the biscuits. You don't have to put them together like this if you don't want to. You can separate them if you want to do that, but that's just each his own. Of course, I normally get more than one biscuit, but right now we're just sampling, we're just trying. And I want to tell y'all a little bit about what I got going on besides the cooking show. Obviously, I'm real tickled about calling it Cooking Country, because we always talk about country cooking, and of course this being country cooking, because we are cooking biscuits for one thing, and we're cooking tomatoes out of the garden. It's really a good feeling to be able to cook something out of the garden. You can't always do that, but when you can. Now, me personally, I like the biscuit, but I bet I go back and reapply gravy over and over, because I love it so much. There we go. That's good enough, Ashton. But if y'all are interested in finding out a little more about me, of course, y'all are watching about me today, but I also am coming out with a brand new album. It's titled This Is America, and it's going to be on iTunes, available to everybody soon. And you can also visit AshtonShepherd.com, and you can follow me on Twitter. I just restarted that, so it's brand new. So if you go on there and see that I only have a few followers, I've got like 500 right now, just revamped it. That is me on there. Don't think that it's not, just because it's not a lot of followers. I had to restart my account. But Facebook is up and running, doing great, and thank y'all very much for that. And we are fixing to take a bite of this yummy food. My, it's going to be so good. Holy moly. So good. I'm telling y'all right now, there's so many people I know that didn't know what tomato gravy was. And for those of you that don't, here it is. You've got to try making it. I hope I did a good job for y'all today with showing you what to do. And I want y'all to come back and be cooking country with me next time.